There are so many players to watch here, and I'm very happy to have an update here on the Novavax front there. That stock's up more than 2,800% on the year. It also locked up an order here with New Zealand's government to roll out their vaccine. So let's get the update from someone who knows it well. Margaret McGlynn is a board member at Novavax, and she joins us now. And Margie, it's good to be chatting with you. Just want to first get your update there because we know the phase 3 trial is expected to begin soon here in the U.S. What's the progress looking there at Novavax?
Yeah, well, first, I'd like to say thank you for having me today, but I am just so impressed with the unprecedented effort that the industry has put forward with academia as well as the government to get so many vaccine programs underway. And Novavax is a major contributor to that effort. And we have a differentiated vaccine that we expect to make a major contribution to help end the epidemic. And we also are very committed to global access to make sure that there's equitable access regardless of geography or regardless of income level.
Margie, I know that you have extensive experience with this product, with vaccines, having formerly been with Merck as their head of vaccines there. How different is this process this year compared to, even the high demands of the flu season or of childhood vaccines on a yearly basis?
Yeah, so as you know, as you've reported on this, this is the quickest effort we have ever seen for several reasons to get a vaccine to market. One, the severity of the threat was so clear to everyone, and all organizations wanted to contribute. Second, there were so many platforms available that the industry has worked on and academia has worked on over the past several years, such as at Novavax, having a protein vaccine along with a very effective adjuvant to boost the immune response. And so these technologies were able to very quickly get put into place to get programs started. And then there was significant funding available from governments, including the US and Operation Warp Speed, from CEPI, and from other organizations to really get this underway. And the fact that we have 2 vaccines, we expect the second obviously to be approved any moment now for emergency use authorization, but 2 vaccines available within 11 months of the genetic sequence being made available is just unprecedented, unlike anything we have ever seen with vaccines in the past.
Absolutely. And I know that specifically the amount of doses available is also a question, even though there are partners to help with this, the lift is unprecedented. And so I wonder, having come from a larger pharma background, what do you see as the difference between the ability for a smaller biotech to sort of meet this demand?
Right. So what the smaller biotechs had to do was to find partners, either contract manufacturers or other organizations like Serum Institute that's helping Novavax and at least one other company to be able to ramp up, because the normal process, you'd be going through your development process, you would wait until you had clear signs that you had an effective vaccine, and then you would make the investment to build a plant. Now that may be a $300, $400 million investment for typical vaccines, but this is not typical. A typical vaccine, you may immunize the entire infant cohort or the entire cohort of adults at age 65. But here, you're immunizing the entire population, over 7 billion people globally, and with most of these vaccines with 2 doses. So that is just an unprecedented effort. So the smaller biotechs clearly had to identify partners. Novavax is doing, some of it through existing partnerships, and went out and found new partnerships to be able to have the ability to commit to saying, once all of these sites are up and running, we will have the capacity for about 2 billion doses annually.
2 billion doses annually globally, or what specifically has the US government secured from Novavax so far?
Yes, so 2 billion is the global number that I'm talking about. I don't want to speak for the company because things are always changing, but you would have seen the reports previously that Operation Warp Speed funded 100 million doses from Novavax. That's due in the first quarter of 2021. But there are other agreements signed with other countries, and I'd refer you to the company to get specifics on that.
Yeah, including the New Zealand one that we opened with there in terms of the more than 10 million dose order there. When we talk about it, though, critics might be quick to point out, their point that Novavax has never brought a vaccine to market successfully in the company's history here. Obviously, things are progressing this time around with this vaccine particularly, but we've had a few healthcare analysts pointing out that at 90% efficacy and 95% efficacy, what we've seen in these first two, the pressure is mounting on a company like Novavax to maybe try and get close to that, maybe not necessarily needing to match it. But what do you think about the pressures to maybe show off a similar efficacy rate? Do you see it the same way they do, that you need to be that high, or what's kind of the hopes once you get that data?
So I obviously don't want to speculate on the data. The results will be what the results will be. But we would expect, based upon the phase 1 and phase 2 results that we have, as well as earlier results when the same platform was used for a flu trial, we would expect to have a strong immune response. So let's let the data roll out as the trials are unblinded.
Margie, looking at what we've heard over the past 2 weeks with the VRBPAC meeting, that advisory panel meeting, a lot of concern about what happens to the placebo group and the impact that that has on clinical trials. This, of course, is something that really has a bigger spotlight on it probably than ever before. With your experience, what are your thoughts on that debate and really how that could affect the full licensure of a vaccine?
Well, what's important to understand here is that placebo-controlled trials are essential to give us the information we need to build the confidence both in the medical scientific community, but very importantly with the public. And so it's important that the protocols that were put in place are adhered to, and certainly regulatory agencies, including the FDA, will consider what to do over time as the individuals who are in the trial are in groups that are next up, so to speak, as the phased rollout occurs.
All right, we'll be waiting to see what the data proves out there, but appreciate you coming on to chat with us today. Margie McGlynn, board member over at Novavax. Thanks again.
Thank you. Have a great day.